Hello everybody and welcome to the War Room. Before I forget, subscribe and support the channel. I always forget to say that. Most of you have figured out the subscribe button, but if you've not, give us a little click. Okay, this is for this weekend's new main event, which is Angela Hill against Michelle Waterson. I think this is going to be a really fun fight for a lot of reasons. There are certain both these ladies like to strike to start with. Different styles of striking. So you've got Angela Hill, that's much more of a high-paced Muay Thai fighter. She's got a slightly longer stance than a normal Muay Thai fighter, but that gives her more mobility. She's very good at staying active, staying on her toes. You know, even in a fight against Claudia Gadelha, you could see in the last round, Gadelha was really slowing down, really heavy on her feet, and Angela Hill was cruising still. I mean, she's a little fatigued, but still, she was active. Michelle Waterson's very much the same. She's got a longer stance, though, because she's much more of a traditional martial artist. I would say Angela Hill does better at a closer range of striking. She's got a high volume of punches. She's very good at putting her punching combinations together. What we've seen more recently in her career, though, is the use of elbows. And this, especially for the lighter fighters, in my opinion, it can be a game changer. If you understand how to land an elbow, it doesn't matter what power you're delivering it with, you can do enough damage to, cause cuts, get stoppages. Angela Hill's fight against Ariane Carnelossi is a good example of this. She got her backed up and she hit her with a clean elbow and cut her open and the doctor stopped it. Same situation with the Hannah Cyphers fight, but that was on the ground. So again, elbows standing and on the ground are always very, very useful. The challenge here for Angela Hill is getting close enough to land them. Michelle Waterson, as I said, has got great footwork. And whenever she's fought Thai boxers like the likes of Courtney Casey, if you watch the way that she deals with that opponent, she's constantly moving, constantly changing her angle, moving back and forth, using the full size of the octagon to force her opponent to keep walking towards her. The reason she does that is because if she can create enough space in between them for her opponent to walk into, then she can kick them as they walk into that range. That is definitely the best part of her game. And there's a consistency with that as well. So, and this is, so if you spot these consistencies in a fighter's game, you can start tailoring your game plan to when you recognize that certain thing coming up in the fight, you can have a weapon to deal with that. This one's quite clear cut. Michelle Waterson, as an orthodox fighter, she uses a snap high kick all the time. Snap high kick and like a stomp rear kick to the lead leg. When she switches to southpaw, she uses a lead side kick a lot more. So if she's orthodox, she's much more looking at catching Angela Hill on the way in or on the way out of combinations. If Angela Hill's dealing with an orthodox Michelle Waterson, when she's moving into range to land strike, she's got to be wary of that lead kick coming right up. It's very, very quick. Snaps it out. Not a great deal of power in it, but enough to catch you a few times and, maybe daze you. Certainly looks good on the judges' scorecards. Was it Felice Herrig that kept walking onto that high kick? I believe it was. Let me just check that. Pretty sure it was. It was Felice Herrig. I've just got a record pulled up here. She caught Felice a few times, and you can see that. I mean, the kick doesn't have a lot of impact because Felice was walking through them, but they look impactful. They look dramatic. It's a high scoring technique, I would imagine, in the judges' eyes. So that's one thing that Angela Hill's got to be watching out for. And as she's coming in with punches, she needs to be going straight through that center line. So when Michelle Waterson switches to southpaw, that lead side kick's problematic for her as well. So she's got two ways of approaching this. If you're dealing with someone that's throwing a straight side kick, you can get around the side of it. You can get to the back side of that fighter and expose them. Close distance, land your punches, your elbows, and your knees there. If you're fighting someone that's got that snap high kick, you need to get inside that kick on the inside of the person's guard. Again, working into a clinch, elbows and knees. For Angela Hill, it's got to be about cutting the space down and about forcing Michelle Waterson to fight in a range that she really doesn't want to. This is where Michelle Waterson then switches over to the second half of her game, which is the submissions. Angela Hill's got good takedown defense. She's good at scrambling. We saw that in the Yan Xiaonan fight. She's good at altering the momentum of takedowns as they're falling and scrambling to top position. Michelle Waterson's got lots of submissions on her record. If I just have a look at the notes that I've got. So Michelle Waterson, 17-8 is her record. She's got 9 submissions, 5 arm bars and 4 rear naked chokes. The reason that that's relevant is because the 2 submissions that we see popping up on Angela Hill's record as losses are arm bars and submissions. Randa Marcos armbarred her. She also got rear naked choked by Carla Esparza in The Ultimate Fighter and by Rose Namajunas. Remember that standing rear naked choke with the... Anyway, they're the things that come to mind when I start thinking about submissions, because we've seen Angela Hill deal with the 2 submissions that Michelle Waterson's very good at and not have a lot of success. I think her takedown defense is better, and I think that's where she stops Michelle Waterson's ground game. I think if she does end up on the floor, she's got to be conscious of submissions and work strikes, but ultimately she needs to disengage from that range. She needs to kind of... What was the game? Who was it we were talking about the other week? Kamaru Usman, I believe. He's got to maintain that center range. You know, Michelle Waterson kind of bookends what Angela Hill's good at. She's good at long range striking and she's good with submissions. If Angela Hill can maintain that range, so she's just inside kicking range, but she's not getting taken down, that's when she can start enforcing that nasty Muay Thai game, where she starts landing those elbows, where she forces Michelle Waterson to stand in a square stance as opposed to that nice long traditional martial arts stance where she can use those powerful long legs. It's all about approach for Angela Hill, and I think that she's turned a corner in her career. I mean, the thing is, if I look at Angela Hill's record, she's won 4 of her last 6, if I remember right. And I know that's a weird way. The UFC put this on the fighters' bios. The reason that's relevant to me is because in her last 6 fights, the 2 fights that she's lost were decisions. She lost a unanimous decision to Yan Xiaonan, which was a very, very good fight, a very close fought fight. I could definitely make an argument for Angela Hill winning a round, if not 2, in that fight. The same thing for the Claudia Gadelha fight. That was a split decision. That's her most recent one. She lost the first round quite clearly. Gadelha took her down, muscled her, beat her up from the top position. But then the second round, Angela Hill looked great. Like, she was in and out of range. She was landing and not getting hit. She was comfortably ahead on the strikes landed in that second round. But then the third round came about, and that again was quite a close round. I could still make an argument for Angela Hill winning that round, though. I mean, she landed more strikes. She had a higher success rate. She took less strikes than her opponent, intended to land. I mean, the stats, I did have them pulled up. Let me just find this. Angela Hill, Claudia Gadelha. Okay, UFC stats break this down per round, which is really useful. So that last round, Angela Hill landed 43 of 78 strikes compared to Claudia Gadelha's 34 of 92. So it's easier to see it in success rate. Significant strike success rate for Claudia Gadelha in that last round was 36%. So she had a less accurate and lower strike count. And Angela Hill had a higher success rate of 55% and landed more strikes. I mean, that to me is a clear argument for Angela Hill winning that fight. There weren't really any grappling exchanges in that last round. The only thing I would say for Claudia Gadelha is that she landed a couple of good low kicks and a couple of good hooks, which may have swayed the judges, making them look a bit more impactful. But I think that was much more about the fact that Angela Hill was on her toes and moving. So when the impact came, she moved with the impact, as opposed to Claudia, who was standing heavy and taking the punishment. You could see it on her face. She was damaged. So basically what I'm trying to say is that of those last 6 fights that Angela Hill has had, I could make an argument for her winning all of them. Previous to that, she had the armbar against Randa Marcos, and that's her last legitimate loss, I would say. The other ones I could make an argument for. And she's picked up a couple of good wins. I mean, Yan Xiaonan's a tough fight for anybody. That could have gone either way. The Loma Lookboonmee fight is the one that stands out because Loma's experience in mixed martial arts might not be a lot, but in Muay Thai, she came into the UFC with a lot of respect in Thailand. Like, people knew how good she was. She's been fighting since she was very, very young. She's had, I couldn't tell you exactly, hundreds of Muay Thai fights. I thought that was going to be a more problematic fight for Angela Hill because she's a Thai boxer, but she looked great. She's put the Muay Thai spin on Thai boxing, so it actually suited her better. I think she just needs to maintain that with Michelle Waterson. She needs to be wary of the kicking range. She needs to get inside the kicking range and do her best work. If she's staying in kicking range, avoid the takedowns. And if she's getting out, get way out and don't get kicked in the head on the way. For Michelle Waterson, she's got to manage that distance. She doesn't want to get walked down and elbowed in the face. So it's the long side kick from southpaw and it's the long snap kick from orthodox. Using those low kicks and those hop side kicks to the legs as well, which is, the typical Winklejohn style, chopping away at the legs with that side kick. That's going to help slow Angela Hill down and slow that forward progression where she works her way into her best range. If she does find herself clinched, then Michelle Waterson's got to work takedowns. That's where it gets scrappy, because I think Angela Hill's got a much better chance of defending the takedown over the submission. Okay, what else haven't I said? This was interesting. So we've got two former Invicta champions. We have Michelle Waterson, who's a former atomweight Invicta champion, and Angela Hill, who's a former strawweight. So she's much more of a natural fighter in this weight class as well. I think that plays into the Muay Thai, the clinch, the takedown offense, the takedown scrambles. I think there's going to be a little bit more, muscle and strength on the side of Angela Hill. Michelle Waterson, I still feel like she's kind of undersized for this weight class. She does have a reach disadvantage as well, if I remember right. Quickly on UFC stats, they kind of lean towards the same things as I'm saying. So Angela Hill, they're the same height, but Angela Hill's got a 2-inch reach advantage. It's going to be negated by the fact she's stepping into range anyway. Strike landed per minute, she's got a much higher work rate than Michelle Waterson. Slightly lower accuracy, but then again, you get that when you throw more strikes anyway, because some of those strikes are going to be used to set up the ones that do land. Strikes absorbed per minute slightly higher, but her defense is very, very good, and she's going to need to be on her game in this one, because it's the blind side kicks that you don't see catch you. Just like when people are fighting Wonder Boy, he's able to crack you in the side of the head while you're on the way out of the clinch, and you don't even know the leg's on its way. All of the grappling stuff leans towards Michelle Waterson. She's got her higher takedown accuracy, more takedowns, more submission attempts. Like I said, Angela Hill, 72% takedown defense is pretty good. She's also not bad in top position when she's on the ground with a ground and pound as well, like we saw in the Cyphers fight. It just seems like an unnecessary risk against Waterson, who's got 9 submissions on her record, and 8 first-round finishes as well for Michelle Waterson. I think only 1 for Angela Hill. So the longer this fight goes, I think the more it suits Angela Hill as well. Should be a fun one. Enjoy the fights. See you next time.